Peppa's magical journey and Peppa's special wish. Today, Peppa and George had a very exciting and fun day. George has something very exciting to show everyone. Wow! It's a tiny little seed. Let's find a nice spot to plant the seed. Come on, George. This will be so much fun. Look, George, a beautiful sunflower garden. Look over there, George. There's a little patch of soil. It grew and grew and grew until it became a beautiful toy cherry blossom tree. Peppa runs to the beautiful cherry blossom tree. She closes her eyes and makes a little wish. A little doll popped out from the tree. Peppa quickly grabs the doll and hugs it tightly. The cherry blossom tree began to sparkle and slowly disappeared.
Hey, hey!
What a fun and exciting day it has been. One quiet afternoon, Big Pig and Little Pig are inside the house. At the same time, Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig are standing outside the door. Daddy Pig presses the doorbell. But inside the house, Big Pig and Little Pig hear nothing. Outside, Daddy Pig presses the doorbell again. Inside the house, Little Pig turns on a musical toy.
Aha!
Outside, Daddy Pig presses the doorbell again and again. But inside the house, the music is louder than the doorbell. Outside, Daddy Pig gently knocks on the door. Inside the house, Big Pig accidentally turns the toy off.
Sorry.
And at that exact moment, the doorbell rings again. And that is why the doorbell was never broken. The house was just too noisy to hear it. Trip to the farm, morning at the farm. The whole family steps out of the car, looking at the lush green fields. The older sister and younger sibling take a deep breath, their eyes shining. Mom hands the seeds to Dad, points to the garden bed.
Let's go.
Dad rolls up his sleeves and nods with determination. The sister and siblings spot the chickens and cows, point excitedly. Dad and Mom. Dad digs a bit too hard. Dirt splashes onto his shirt. Mom neatly sows the seeds, adjusting the vegetable rows. The younger sibling scatters grain for the chickens. The chickens rush over, clucking. The older sister carries a bucket of grass for the cows. The cows lower their heads and eat slowly. The two kids laugh with delight. Suddenly, a camel walks over from somewhere. The youngest gets scared and steps back. The youngest turns and runs away, and the animal runs after them. At a corner wall, the youngest has nowhere else to go and stands still, eyes closed. Suddenly, the camel slows down, stops, and eats the handful of grass in the youngest's hand. It turns out it was only following because of the food. The youngest pats its head, and the older brother runs over to play too. Scene change. Mom and Dad stand happily, watching the two kids play with the livestock. The kids ride on the camel's back, strolling around the farm. A chicken suddenly flies over, lands on the camel's head, and crows loudly. The siblings burst into laughter. After a while, Mom and Dad return to the vegetable garden. The kids hop down and walk over as well. The whole family works together. Dad carries a basket of vegetables. Mom waters the plants. The older sister closes the chicken coop gate. She neatly places the feed bucket. Everyone looks at each other and nods in satisfaction. The family sits resting under a tree. Chickens peck at grain nearby. Cows chew grass slowly. Dad gives a thumbs up. The whole family smiles happily. Rescuing a kite stuck on power lines. Afternoon, an open lot near a residential area. Clear sky, a gentle breeze. The whole family stands on the grassy field. Dad holds the kite string reel. Mom stands beside him, looking up at the sky. The older sister holds the kite. The younger brother stands nearby, excited. The sister lifts the kite high. Dad gives a signal. The kite is released. It rises into the air, gliding smoothly with the wind. The younger brother runs in the kite's direction, laughing happily. The kite flies higher, sways gently. The kite drifts off course, heading toward the power lines. The kite gets caught on the power lines. The kite trembles lightly, hanging in midair. The whole family stops immediately. Dad raises his hand, signaling everyone to stay back. Dad looks around, spots a long wooden pole. Dad picks up the pole, lifts the pole, and gently nudges the kite string. The kite shakes hard, but it doesn't fall. Dad changes his position. Tries again. The kite is still stuck. It only sways slightly. Dad lowers the pole, shakes his head. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blows. The kite is yanked hard by the wind, breaks free from the power lines, and shoots upward. The strong wind carries the kite for a short distance, then slowly fades. The kite wobbles, drops quickly. The younger brother stands below, raises both hands instinctively. The kite floats down and lands perfectly in his hands. The younger brother hugs the kite tightly, grinning brightly. The older sister claps. Mom exhales in relief. Dad sets the wooden pole down, smiling. A day at the farm. Early morning. The yard is still quiet. Soft sunlight falls onto the ground. The whole family stands in the yard. Dad adjusts the items to make sure they're neat. Mom takes one last look and nods. The older sister and younger brother stand by the car. Each wears a small backpack. They look around, faces full of excitement. Dad signals that everything is ready. The car starts moving, leaving the yard behind. Inside the car, the siblings keep looking out the window, clearly delighted. The car slows down and stops in front of a small farm. The family gets out of the car. They pause for a moment. Mom looks around the farm. Dad stands by the car, observing. The sister and brother run into the yard. Their feet touch the grass, stepping back and forth. They laugh happily, running around the yard. Dad signals that it's time to work. Dad carries a bowl of grain and scatters it on the ground. A flock of chickens gathers, pecking nonstop. Mom goes into the vegetable garden, bends down to harvest bunch by bunch, placing them neatly into a basket. The sister walks over to the egg nest, bends down to pick up each egg, and carefully places them into a basket. The younger brother curiously runs after the ducks. The ducks quack and scatter. He chases after them. After running for a while, he slows down, then stops. He rests his hands on his knees and pants heavily. After a morning of work, the family sits to rest under a tree. The sister sits, gazing at the distant fields. The brother lies on the grass. The sun climbs higher in the sky. And the family stands up, says goodbye to the farm, and gets back into the car to leave. The Kite Flying Contest. The whole family walks out onto a wide open field. A gentle breeze blows, and the sky is clear blue. Dad carefully unfolds the kite, checking the frame and the string. Mom spreads a small mat on the ground, smiling, one hand shading her eyes as she looks up at the sky. The sister holds the kite string spool, her eyes focused, a little nervous. The younger brother hops around excitedly, hugging a kite almost as big as himself. Dad gives the signal.
Hey!
The younger brother runs forward, the kite dragging along the ground. The sister holds the string and slowly lets it out. Dad stands behind her, gently placing a hand on her shoulder, guiding each movement. Mom claps to cheer them on as the wind grows stronger. The kite lifts off the ground, trembling slightly, then drops back down. A sudden strong gust of wind blows. The kite shoots up into the sky. The younger brother runs too fast. The string pulls tight, and the kite drags him along without stopping. His feet slip slightly. He leans back but still refuses to let go of the string. The whole family gasps, then bursts out laughing. Mom runs after him a few steps. Dad reaches out to catch him, but the younger brother keeps getting pulled around in circles like an unwilling athlete. Stability and victory. At last, Dad quickly grabs the string. The sister plants her feet firmly and adjusts the rhythm of letting the string out. The younger brother finally stops, panting, then breaks into a wide grin. The kite gradually stabilizes, flying higher, flying straight. Gently gliding across the clear blue sky, the whole family lifts their heads to look up. Mom folds her arms, her face glowing with joy. Dad nods in satisfaction. The sister holds the string steadily, full of pride. The younger brother plops down on the ground, gazing up at the highest flying kite he has ever seen. The camera tilts up, following the kite. The kite grows smaller against the blue sky. The race on the sand. An afternoon at the beach. The sky is clear. Waves gently lap the shore. The wide beach stretches out, still marked with footprints left by people who passed by earlier. The whole family stands near the water's edge. Dad bends down, using a stick to draw you a long line in the sand. He stands up straight and raises his hand, signaling the starting line. Mom and the sister step into position. The sister warms up her legs, bouncing lightly. Mom smiles, hands on her hips, ready. The younger brother stands right at the line, crouching low, his eyes full of mischief. Getting ready, the family lines up side by side. Dad raises his hand high. Suddenly, the younger brother dashes off early, before Dad's hand even comes down. The sister's eyes widen. Mom bursts out laughing. Dad turns, pointing in surprise. Cheating! And the price! The younger brother runs a few steps. The soft sand sinks under his feet. His steps wobble. Bam! He tumbles onto the sand. Sand clings to his clothes, his hair a mess. He sits up, a little stunned. The family rushes over. The sister reaches him first. She helps him sit up, brushing sand off his clothes. Mom kneels down, brushing away the sand while checking on him. Her worried look quickly turns to relief. Dad arrives last, putting on a stern face for a moment. Then bursting into loud laughter. The younger brother looks at everyone, then grins too, shy and embarrassed. Ending. The family gathers again at the starting line. This time, everyone stands properly in place. The younger brother looks at Dad, raising his hand to ask for the signal. The sound of the waves mixes with upright laughter. Final frame. The family standing on the beach. The marks of a fall still in the sand, but joy filling the air. Peppa and George ride the giant balloon in the sky. Today, Peppa and George are blowing balloons. Oh, one balloon is growing bigger and bigger.
Gotcha!
The giant balloon lifts Peppa and George into the sky. They're both surprised and excited. Look, their house down below is tiny, and the fields and lakes shine like a beautiful painting.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
George waves at a butterfly flying by. Peppa laughs as the balloon sways like a swing in the sky. A gentle breeze carries the balloon softly, making George and Peppa delighted. At last, the balloon slowly lands back in the yard. Peppa and George keep laughing, remembering their sky adventure.
Bye! Bye!
Peppa explores the giant sunflower garden. Today, Peppa and George are playing in the yard. But look, a magical shiny gate appears. In just a moment, they find themselves in a field of giant sunflowers, reaching up to the sky. George tries to smell the sunflower. Oh no! The pollen makes him sneeze. Peppa bursts out laughing. Wow! A petal suddenly appears. Curious Peppa climbs onto the giant petal. Wow! It sways like a swing in the air. Wow! A swarm of giant bees flies over, but they're friendly, guiding Peppa and George through the glorious garden. At last, the magic gate appears again. Peppa and George return home, holding a small petal. Was it a dream, or was it real? When Mom and Dad are out. Morning, soft sunlight shines into the living room. The house is still tidy and quiet. Mom and Dad get ready to go out. Mom and Dad both bend down in front of the two siblings, signaling with their hands, "Stay inside the house." The siblings stand close together. They nod obediently. The door closes. The house becomes completely silent. The siblings turn to look at each other. Both break into mischievous smiles. The younger brother runs to the sofa. He picks up a pillow and tosses it lightly into the air. The older sister catches it and throws it back. They toss the pillow back and forth. The pillow flies up and down. Both laugh happily. The older sister stops, looks around the room, an idea forming. She takes out a box of paint and a few brushes. They spread paper out on the floor and dip the brushes into the paint. They paint with bold strokes. The brush slips past the edge of the paper, drips onto the floor. The younger brother hurriedly grabs a cloth and bends down to wipe. The paint spreads even more. The room gradually becomes messy. Pillows on the floor, drawing paper scattered, paintbrushes rolling away. Both lean back against the sofa and sit quietly for a while. The younger brother yawns. The older sister rubs her eyes. They slowly slide down onto the floor, lying among the mess, eyes closing. They fall asleep a while later. The front door opens. Mom and Dad walk in. Mom looks around the room. Pillows, toys, drawing paper, paint stains. She stands still, shakes her head. Dad smiles, bends down gently, and pulls a thin blanket over the two children. Oh no, Peppa and George's messy day. Peppa and George have been playing outside. Peppa plays basketball, but it hits George instead of the hoop. George feels sad. It's okay because Peppa comforted him and gave the ball to George. George aims perfectly at the hoop. And both of them are happy. Suddenly, Mummy Pig calls Peppa and George back, looking quite angry.
Uh-oh.
Oh. When they return home, Peppa and George see a plate of cakes and feel happy. Mummy Pig tells Peppa and George to wash their hands. Today really was a messy day for Peppa and George. Lost in the park. The park is crowded, filled with cheerful chatter and the sound of children running and playing everywhere. Tree shadows stretch across the pathways, while warm golden sunlight filters gently through the leaves. Dad walks in front, holding a park map. Mom walks beside him, carrying a bag of snacks. sister keeps turning back as she walks, keeping watch. The younger brother trails behind, his eyes fixed on a brightly colored butterfly the moment they get separated.
Whoa.
The butterfly flutters low, then suddenly soars high. The younger brother runs after it, laughing with delight. The butterfly glides past flower bushes and stone benches. The younger brother turns down a small side path. A quick cut. The family walks a few more steps, then stops. The sister turns around. He's gone. She startles, looking around. Mom freezes, worry filling her eyes. Dad spins around quickly. Tension builds. Mom and Dad rush back, scanning every pathway. The sister stands on a stone bench, rising on her toes to look far ahead. The crowd moving back and forth blocks their view. Elsewhere in the park, peaceful and calm, the younger brother sits neatly on a bench, holding a big ice cream, his face smudged with a bit of cream, his legs gently swinging. The younger brother slowly licks his ice cream, gazing up at the sky, watching birds fly by. Completely calm.
Whoa.
The sister arrives first and freezes in surprise. Mom and Dad follow, letting out sighs of relief. Mom bends down and wraps the younger brother in a tight hug. Dad rests his hands on his knees, exhausted but relieved. The sister covers her mouth, giggling softly. Building a house from branches, sunlight filters through the canopy, casting patches of light on the ground. The air is cool, carrying the scent of wood and dry leaves. The whole family walks into a small clearing. Dad looks around and nods, choosing a spot to build the shelter. Mom and the sister smile and start gathering leaves. The younger brother runs ahead excitedly, his eyes bright with curiosity. Dad collects sturdy branches, stacking them neatly. The sister gathers large leaves, shaking off the dirt. Mom ties the leaves into small bundles. The younger brother discovers a very large branch. He hugs it with both arms and tries to lift it. The branch is too heavy. He drags it a few steps, then stops. He grits his teeth and tries harder, his face turning red. The branch moves slightly, then won't budge. Dad notices and runs over immediately. He bends down and lifts the branch together with his son. Father and son work in sync, carrying the branch back to the building spot. The younger brother looks at Dad and smiles proudly. Building the shelter. The branches are raised into a frame. Dad holds the main structure steady. The younger brother passes over smaller branches. Mom and the sister bring the leaves. Together, they layer the leaves onto the roof, stacking them carefully. A light breeze rustles through the leaves. The small shelter slowly takes shape, simple but sturdy. The sky suddenly darkens. A raindrop lands on a leaf. Tap, tap. The rain quickly grows heavier. The family looks up in surprise. Dad signals quickly. Everyone runs into the newly built shelter. Rain pours down outside. The leaves on the roof tremble, but still keep the rain out. Inside, the family sits close together. The younger brother stares out at the rain, wide-eyed. The sister covers her mouth, laughing softly. Dad exhales in relief, glancing up to check the roof. Mom opens her bag. She takes out fruit and shares it with everyone. The family eats fruit while listening to rain tapping on the leafy roof. The fun adventure with our new friend, Teddy Toy Bear. Peppa's bright and colorful toy room. Peppa and George are having lots of fun playing in the toy room. All of a sudden, the giant teddy bear begins to wiggle, and Peppa and George stare in surprise. And just like that, the chase begins. Ha 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 ha! The teddy bear walks into the magical toy world, and suddenly it starts to grow bigger and bigger. George catches up and giggles. What a big teddy bear! Then he gets a clever idea. He hides behind it to surprise everyone. Peppa runs after him and looks all around, but she can't see George anywhere. So she calls out loudly, "George! George! Where are you?" George answers back, and Peppa spots him right away. She giggles and runs over quickly. Peppa and George laugh and play with the giant teddy bear toy. What a fun and happy adventure! What a fun adventure with their new friend! One calm evening, The pig family is sitting in the living room. Daddy Pig is holding the TV remote. After a while, Daddy Pig puts the remote down.
Hey!
Huh?
When it's time to change the channel, the remote is gone.
Huh?
Big Pig starts helping. Little Pig climbs down to the floor.
Huh?
Mummy Pig stands up and observes.
Huh?
Huh? And the remote is nowhere to be found. Daddy Pig lifts the cushions one by one.
Huh?
Big Pig shakes a sofa cushion. Mummy Pig lifts the cushion high. No one notices. Daddy Pig keeps searching.
Huh?
Daddy Pig reaches into his pocket. And that's why sometimes lost things are simply walking around with us. Paper Boat Day. The river flows slowly, sunlight shimmering on the water. The whole family sits together by the riverbank. Colorful sheets of paper lie in front of each person, folding the boats. The older sister sits upright, folding her paper carefully. The creases are neat and straight, forming a small, well-balanced boat. Dad holds a larger sheet of paper. He folds slowly, using firm hands. His boat turns out big and sturdy, with a wide base. The younger brother sits nearby, struggling a bit. One side folds crooked, the other gets wrinkled. His boat looks misshapen, with a bent tip and uneven sides. The younger brother looks at his boat, then at the other two. He scratches his head. Shyly, Mom sits behind them, watching everything, smiling gently. The family stands up and walks closer to the water. The 3 paper boats are placed carefully on the river's surface. Dad gives a signal with his eyes. All 3 gently release their boats at the same time. The boats begin to drift with the current. Watching closely, the sister's boat moves straight and steady, but slowly. Dad's boat is heavier, stable, but it doesn't go very far. The younger brother's boat wobbles at first. Everyone thinks it might sink soon. Suddenly, a small current nudges the crooked boat toward the middle of the river. It glides faster, pulling ahead of the others. The younger brother's eyes widen. He runs along the riverbank, following his boat. The sister and dad stop and stare. They look at each other in surprise. The younger brother's boat travels the farthest, becoming a tiny dot in the distance. The younger brother jumps up, pointing excitedly. The sister laughs. Dad claps loudly. Mom steps closer and gently pats the younger brother's head. The whole family stands together, clapping and laughing happily. The afternoon sun paints the riverbank in warm gold. Park. Cleanup day. The air is cool. Soft sunlight filters through the trees. A narrow path curves around the green lawn with a few people strolling by. Mom carries a small trash bag and walks toward a public trash bin. She opens the lid, getting ready to throw the trash inside. Suddenly, a car drives up. Its wheel hits a rock on the road. The car swerves slightly. Bam! The car crashes into the trash bin by the roadside. The bin tips over. Trash scatters everywhere across the path and the grass. Mom is startled and freezes for a few seconds. She looks around, seeing trash spread all over. Mom quickly turns toward the lawn. She runs back to where the family is sitting. Dad, the sister, and the younger brother follow her gaze. The whole family stands up immediately. Starting the cleanup, Dad heads back to the car and takes out a large bag. He opens it wide, ready to collect the trash. The sister carries a small grabber stick. She bends down, picking up each piece of trash and placing it into the bag carefully and neatly. The younger brother runs around behind them. He picks up anything he sees, holding piles of trash in both hands. Sometimes things fall, and he bends down to pick them up again, leaving nothing behind. Mom picks up trash near the path. As she cleans, she keeps an eye on the surroundings to make sure no one trips. Dad's trash bag gradually fills up. He switches hands and wipes the sweat from his forehead. The sister walks over and empties the trash from her grabber into the bag. Dad and daughter look at each other and nod. The younger brother runs over with a large piece of trash. Dad bends down to help him put it into the bag. Mom gathers the last bits of trash on the grass. The park slowly becomes clean again. The whole family stands beside the trash bin, now set upright again. The large trash bag is tied tightly,